Welcome to Ducat's Imperial Lanes in Toledo, Ohio, where after 56 games of grueling qualifying, only 5 bowlers are still standing and in a position to be the national champion. Our 5th seed is in his 11th year on tour, looking to win his first major, Jim Johnson Jr. from Tampa, Florida. Mike Aulby is our 4th seed today, and no stranger to these lanes. The Hall of Famer is looking for his 3rd national championship. Seeded 3rd, the hottest bowler on tour in 1998. He's made the championship round for the 3rd time in 5 weeks, the veteran Tom Baker. Our 2nd seed is another Hall of Famer. It's his 3rd championship round appearance here in Toledo. Could this be the year for David Ozio? And our top seed today, he won here in 1989, one of only 4 Triple Crown winners in PBA history, Pete Weber. And our first round match today features a righty and a lefty. Jim Johnson Jr. is the righty, 37-year-old from Tampa, Florida, a 10-year pro, looking for his 2nd career title. This is his 11th year on tour. The lefty, the PBA Hall of Famer, with 25 career titles, Mike Aulby. Jim Johnson Jr. up first. And that's the way the national championship begins.
And a quality shot for Jim Johnson Jr. as we take a look from behind. Not a lot of hook. Good projection. Watch the 6-pin. Just lays in the channel. Does not knock out the 10.
And for the spare on lane 25 to open the championship, Jim Johnson Jr. Mike Aulby is in his 20th year on tour. Simply one of the best of all time. 25 career titles. He's won here twice before. On the money with his first roll.
Trying to assert a little early pressure on Jim Johnson Jr. Take a look at the familiar style of Mike Aulby. Very soft with the release. Playing the outside line, and the ball hooks up right where he would like it. Now he wants to take that early 10-pin lead here, Mike, with a double in the 2nd frame.
You can see, though, he struggled on these 2 lanes during the week, averaging just over 199 on our TV pair.
And a beautiful shot leaves the solid 7-pin. Take a look. Look how far that ball is on the left side of the lane. It hooks up, and watch the 4-pin right around the 7.
Mike missed the national championship last year because he was ill. The only time in 20 years he's missed this event. Trying to make up for that miss a year ago by winning the tournament here in 1998.
And in a match that would look on paper as if it's a complete mismatch, with Mike Aulby being the overwhelming favorite, believe me, Mike does not take this man for granted. Jim Johnson Jr., very good bowler, and they're bowling a 1-game match. Anything can happen.
And following the spare in the 1st, Jim Johnson with a strike here in the 2nd. He has been here for more than a week. He was bowling in all the Pro-Ams Saturday and Sunday and last week. He said it really helped him get ready for this week, Marshall.
As you can see right there, doesn't play a lot of hook, likes the down and in line. A very accurate player, and with today's equipment, he is a devastating striker. Lots of 300 games, has 56 to his credit. And
another strike.
He takes the early lead with a strike in the 3rd frame.
So Johnson. Aulby in the 3rd. Oh, and the 7 tumbles down.
Well, there's another solid 7-pin, except this time the 4-pin just barely gets to it. Take a look. The 4-pin is going to do the damage on the 7, but it's going to take a while.
There it is.
I think that was a smile saying, I deserve that.
He set a tour record in 1995 by averaging 225. That was the year he was the player of the year.
Well, Mike Aulby answers Jim Johnson Jr. with a double of his own, now evening up the match.
So Mike Aulby with a couple of strikes. That's what Jim Johnson is working on. He'll be up when we come back.
He's been sitting for a couple of minutes. Let's see how he handles the pressure of Mike Aulby coming back to the double. He likes it off his hand, but it did not take the 10-pin out. You could see he started to run that ball out, but just didn't quite have the leverage. Wasn't able to knock the 10 out.
It's really interesting that a lot of these bowlers will get to the line. They pretty much know as soon as they release the ball that it's going to be a strike or not, but occasionally they'll leave that 7 or 10.
Well, you can see a nice spare for Jim Johnson Jr. When the ball goes off your hand, there's Jim Johnson Jr.'s mother.
That's Lois. In fact, Jim said this week, Marshall, that one of the reasons he's feeling better is because his mom has agreed to undergo bypass surgery. In fact, this Tuesday, she was thinking about not doing it, and that had Jim all upset, but apparently she's going to do it. Rooting for Jim to win this tournament here.
Come on, can he kick that out? There it goes. There it goes. I'm not sure what pin that was, but I saw it moving around down there, and Lois says, "Atta boy, son."
It was his mom and dad who got Jim started as a bowler. Jim says he was at bowling centers before he could walk because his mom was in a league and she'd take him there in the stroller.
Now, Jim was very fortunate. As you can see, the ball goes right through the heart. Now, what's going to take out that 7-pin? There's
still moving.
There's the 3-pin. It's going to knock the 4-pin into the 7-pin, and it falls.
And that's Mike Aulby in the 5th frame with a strike. 3 in a row now for Aulby. And a 13-pin lead.
Re-rack, please. Re-rack. Mike's taking a re-rack, and as we've said in the past, if you want a re-rack on tour and you're only allowed to have 2 in any given game on the championship round, you have to do it as your first order of business. You look at the pins, you tell the tournament director re-rack. If you pick your ball up or go to the rosin or do anything before, you will not be granted that re-rack.
Is there anybody on tour better mentally than this man?
Well, there may be a couple that would rival him, but certainly no one better. Mike Aulby handles his emotions better than anyone on our tour today. And a little intensity for the man from Indianapolis. We'll take a look at Mike Aulby from behind. Solid 4-step approach. Really using a lot of hook. No problem there.
4 in a row now for Aulby. Johnson now up in the 6th frame.
That's got to hurry. And in talking with the bowlers earlier, the right-hand lane did not hook back as strongly as the left-hand lane. That'll be something to watch as we get further into the telecast.
Jim, by the way, is a diabetic, which presents some unique problems. It's hard to eat right on the road, as you might know. So he feels a little weak. He has not been feeling weak this week, however.
And he made a great shot at picking up the washout. Tries to send it in, but he sends it around.
Whoa.
Tough break for Jim Johnson Jr.
The other thing about being a diabetic, he says he doesn't have much feeling from his knees to his feet. He says he could walk on hot coals without any problem.
And it's a marvel that he does as good as he does out here on the tour, and he finds himself making a bad shot. That happens so often. You come in light on one lane, and it's almost like a subconscious adjustment you make for the other lane. He comes in high. Something has amused him. He's tell you what, a lot of pressure and still a big smile right up till he releases the ball.
He knows he's got it. Picks up the 6-10, gets the spare in the 7th. So a 38-pin lead for Mike Aulby, and he's up next when we come back. And Mike Aulby back here in Toledo in the 7th frame with a 38-pin lead in our opening round match against Jim Johnson Jr., the Hall of Famer.
And with strikes in the 7th and 8th frame, Mike could really all but shut this match out. That ball looked to be a little bit right of his target, but held the pocket. He's found himself a little room.
5 in a row now for Aulby. and a 48-pin lead.
And that 199 average that he had on this pair for the 3 games he bowled on it in the tournament, a very distant memory.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is a guy who's had so much success, but he never sets any goals on tour. Didn't before, doesn't now. I guess that keeps the pressure off.
If we take another look at Mike Aulby, classic style, we've seen him for years. When he gets going, he's able to maintain.
Jim Johnson Jr. down 58 pins, lane 26. He says, there it is. Gets the strike, his first since the 3rd frame.
Jim Johnson, you'll notice a very straight trajectory down the lane. Sort of puts his arms out to say, well, that's what I'm trying to do.
He made his first career telecast right here.
Back in '89, I think.
Yep.
So he's comfortable out there on these lanes.
Pete Weber won it here. Perhaps an omen of things to come.
Well, Jim Johnson would have liked to have a chance at Pete Weber today, but that is not to be. Mike Aulby is going to win this first game, and rather decisively. Kind of a relaxed-looking Mike Aulby right now. Well, you know, it's pretty tough to bet against the 25-time titleist. He's got 6 strikes in a row this game, and he's just preparing himself for that match against Tom Baker.
Mike Aulby in the 9th. Looking for 7 in a row.
Well, I'm sure Tammy, his wife, and his children, Chris, nicknamed CJ, and daughter Danielle are watching right now in Indianapolis and loving it.
Aulby now in the 10th. He is on a roll.
And Mike, he's not just striking, he's hitting dead flush in the pocket striking. If I was Tom Baker, I'd be a little bit concerned right now.
Tom Baker will be his opponent in the 2nd round. Jim Johnson Jr. with a fine tournament. Will lose the opening round match, and Aulby again.
One more strike for 280 from Mike Aulby.
That's the 2nd frame we didn't notice.
Yeah.
9 in a row now for Mike Aulby.
I'm surprised at that.
Jim Johnson making reference to the 2nd frame, the only frame Mike Aulby did not strike, but he was high flush in that one also.
And that's the way our opening round match ends with Mike Aulby striking out from the 3rd frame on. So Jim Johnson Jr. will finish out his first round. And finally, he's found the range.
A little too late for Jim Johnson, but in a very sportsmanlike way, he told Mike Aulby, after Mike finished his game, don't stop. So Mike's got a fan in Jim Johnson Jr. right now.
3 weeks ago, Jim Johnson Jr. considered quitting the tour and getting a full-time job, and yet here he is today in our championship round at the national championship. And that's the thing about bowling, Marshall, is that these great bowlers, sooner or later, they'll find the tracking. They'll find their mark. Sometimes, though, it's just too late.
Well, the game goes by so quickly, Mike. It's amazing. You know, you look at 10 frames and you make a mistake early in the game, and then pretty much, you know, the game's over. It just ends. It ends too fast sometimes, and unfortunately for Jim Johnson Jr.
Turn together next week again.
A
Big round of applause for Mike Aulby and Jim Johnson Jr. Our final score, Mike Aulby, a winner in our opening round match, 280 to 201. And now awaiting Mike Aulby in our second round.